just token on reefers on his podcast with various different guests.
In Texas.
In Texas.
Yeah. Hi to all our listeners in Texas.
Good morning. Welcome to the Reimagined podcast with Sean and Kylie. My name's Sean.
And my name is Kylie, and we are higher today. We are high. We're feeling really, really whacked. We are sitting right above a deep, sparkling portal into the abyss of delicious delight that is found in the realms. The multidimensional realms. This is somewhere where we will be going today.
So we're seated in heavenly places. At rest with the creator of all things.
Yes. I don't know if I'll be able to use too many words today.
Maybe people can just come onto our podcast today and just press pause and realize that they're also in heaven and that they don't even need to listen to the rest of the podcast. Because all of the answers are found within. All of the answers are found within because that's where heaven is. Heaven is within you.
Yeah, heaven is within you. John Crowder, he says, God is not calling us to live ordinary lives. He's calling us to rise above the mundane and experience the fullness of his glory. This means coming up higher, shedding the limitations of our earthly perspectives and embracing the divine nature within us.
Coming up higher to a place that's within you.
It's like not outside of us, is it?
It's not outside of us. Heaven's within us. We're within our Creator. He's within us. It's not like we have to go anywhere to get into heaven. It's no longer a case of us having to leave our bodies or die within our earthly bodies to enter into heaven, but we can function out of heaven at all times whilst functioning in our earthly bodysuits, body bags of meat and bones and stuff.
But if you were going to frame that up in a more practical words,
How could
what does it mean?
It be more practical than body and meat and bones?
Oh, no, but not the meat and bones bit. But you know when you say heaven is within, we're seated in heaven, what does that even mean?
What it means is that there is now no longer any separation between who you are and the possibilities of who you can be and where you can explore and what you can do. There's no longer an understanding that you have to first die to enter into heaven, which is this place that you close your eyes and imagine when you're a child and you can fly and you can do all sorts of wild things in heaven. There's no longer a line drawn where you have to leave one place to enter into another. There's no separation anymore between you and your Creator. Therefore, there's now no separation between who you are in your bodily form as well as in your heavenly form.
So where have you been?
Everywhere.
I've been everywhere.
Actually, I haven't been everywhere because I'm actually aware that heaven has many, many doors. And within those many, many doors are many, many rooms. And I have not been everywhere in the heavenly realms because to say that would limit my understanding to a place of believing that it can be measured, that it is a certain size, that I've seen everything, that I know everything, and it's simply not true. I've not been everywhere. I've been a lot of places that feels like I've been everywhere, but there's a lot more places to go.
Yeah, I love it. And that is what we're talking about today. We're transcending these everyday limitations and we're going into this deeper place, experiencing this more profound connection that is actually not separate from us, this connection with the divine, this connection with our Creator, this connection where we're always in.
You can step into joy, Kylie. You can step into peace. You can step into gratitude. You can function in those places. You can also step into different rooms within the mansion of heaven that are each one of those words, that are each one of those dimensions. And that changes everything about how you function on earth at the same time. If you step into a room of joy, everything becomes laughable.
Yeah, it's true. And I feel like that's probably one of the hallmarks of an innie, like as Justin Abraham puts it, he calls himself an innie. And I always think about those deep belly buttons. You know, where at school you used to say, have you got an innie or an outie?
No, I never did that. But I do know that stepping in and functioning out of a space of joy is a wonderful place to be. But for me, I find it difficult to focus or do anything that requires too much attention. Not that there's anything wrong with that,
Yeah, that's
because
right.
there's other rooms to step into for different tasks that you want to undertake.
And I think it's because it requires you to let go of the control that your mind likes to have. Like it likes to unpack things, dissect things, like to stay in this realm where we're going, hold on a sec, that doesn't make any sense. What can we cross reference that with? What Bible verses make that make sense? What evidence have you got to back it up?
That's only if you're actually concerned about the Bible at all, Kylie. There's many people in the world that don't give a single toss about the Bible, and sometimes for plenty of good reasons.
Exactly.
Those people are not therefore unable to access heaven.
Exactly. And I think in some ways, it's probably easier to access these spaces where you don't have a lot of theology in the way, a lot of stuff in the way that is stopping you from letting go of your current understanding and diving into the mystery that is Him.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like a theology or an education in a particular strain of education can reduce you to a place of fear where you're afraid to step outside of your understanding. You're afraid to believe that there is something beyond what you already know and what you've already been taught by the professors at university. So therefore, it's dangerous territory to believe that heaven exists with many rooms. It's not worthy of consideration. It's not worthy of even considering doing something like that, because you can be deceived, you can be led astray, and bad things can happen in those places. Or you can enter into the Creator's realms by stepping into that place of believing that all things are possible and entering as a child does who likes to explore.
Yeah, that's right. And I think when you let yourself go there, what you experience is something that's far beyond just as if you were walking through a mansion in the worldly sense. And I haven't really been in any really mega mansions like that are just totally awe inspiring where you just go into each different room like I've seen some on TikTok and on Instagram that are just unfathomable. Like it's like each room is a whole nother world on its own. But that is my experience in the spiritual spaces, is that when you let yourself go on the adventure of the mystery within yourself, is that you experience in these rooms whole other worlds. And it's like there can be a garden room and there can be like a space room and there can be an underwater world and there's mysteries on the other side of the planet that you can engage with when you're in these spaces. And it's profound. Like it's just wild. It's kind of something that is otherworldly, like cosmic.
I find that for me, heaven is a much easier place to be located.
Why would you say that?
When I start to get angry with you because of the annoying habits that you have,
Like not tying up my shoelaces properly.
there's a whole big long list of habits, and there's a whole big long list of occurrences that happen throughout a day that can cause me annoyance. And so what I mean by it's much easier to live in heaven is I can just flick a switch. I can flick an awareness of me actually living in heaven and on earth at the same time. And I can selfishly just place myself in heaven by the click of a finger. And every time I do, everything's easier.
I
But
love it.
my understanding currently is that I actually am also living on earth in a body, and that is an experience for an amount of time. And maybe it's an eternal amount of time. I don't know the measurement of it. Maybe it is that God's Spirit is in me experiencing what it's like to be a human. And I also have a responsibility to live on earth at the same time as in heaven. And sometimes I have to feel the gravity of living on earth and being okay with things that annoy me because it's refining who I am. I'm currently being refined, allowing myself to be refined, stepping into that place of allowing myself, being okay with it, which is not always easy to do because change is difficult. But I'm currently walking out a period of time of non-judgment.
Yeah, I love it. Joe Dispenza talks about this kind of stuff. He says higher realms of consciousness are accessed by transcending the habitual thoughts and emotions that keep us bound to our current state of being. By breaking free from the past and reconditioning the body to a new mind, we can tap into the quantum field of infinite possibilities. And this is where true transformation and healing occur. And I think it's like another whole space where you're even transcending the mind and you're coming into the essence of your being, the eternal piece of you that I believe can engage with what we currently understand to be the part of us that will eventually pass away, which is our body, to bring in this transformative light that we're engaging with, this light that is our Father, who is the Father of lights, this light that we often speak of in a number of our podcasts, that is this piece of us that was in the beginning and that is this part of us that we can engage with. What do you think about that? Because I was thinking that's the part of Jesus that I engaged with on my healing journey when I had cancer on my face. And I was engaging with his light DNA in the essence of, or in the physical form of communion, where there was something that was beyond this earthly realm that I was partaking in, that was happening in my body, that was bringing my body into a place of remembrance of who it has always been. A vessel of divine health and immortality, a place of wonder and light. It's this light technology that we're engaging with that is this place of infinite wonder and delight. Delight.
So as you talk about the healing from cancer that's on your face and you talk about the method by which it happened for you, we also know that just because you have discovered a truth for you doesn't mean that that's transferable in every case to every other person who has a cancer on their face.
Exactly.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think once we take something and we turn it into a formula, it bypasses the relational aspect of what we're engaging in. And I think for me, the journey of seeing my body healed was a journey that was relational. It was me walking out or being reminded of who I have always been. It was my creator, the Father, who was walking with me, like the Spirit, the Son, the beings in the heavenly realm, the essence of what I was engaging with in the communion, which is the body and the blood, the very DNA of Yeshua that I was experiencing, which was actually reminding my body of who it has always been. And for me, that was very relational. Like it was like a constant conversation that I was having in that space of what is happening, what's going on, what am I doing, why am I doing this? And I felt like at the bottom of it all was I was being reminded in that constant conversation of who I've always been, and that in our body is everything that we need.
And once we hear a story of somebody's healing of cancer on their face, or any other story of somebody's leg growing back, or the wonderful stories and miraculous tales that you hear about if you go looking for that information, once we hear those things and then decide that that is the way that they will occur, they can occur that way multiple times, can't they? They can occur that way again and again and again and
Yeah.
again and again. And then what happens at some stage when the miracle doesn't occur after you've applied the same pattern to it is we question everything.
And that comes back to this conversation that we're talking about the higher space. Like, what does it mean to come up higher? What are the higher realms of consciousness? What is this higher state that we talk about? And you were touching on this yesterday in a conversation where you were saying, you were reminding me about that there are gifts, like there's the gift of healing and the gift of the prophetic gifts and all these different kinds of things that we can operate in, but that's actually in a different realm. Like, how are you explaining that?
Well, I don't know that it was me that was explaining that to you, and if it was, I can't remember saying it, but I do feel like gifts are something that are given to you without you earning them. It's like a Christmas or a birthday present, something that's given to you that you haven't earned, you haven't had to do study to receive, but that they're just available out of nowhere for everybody.
And their work.
And they work.
Yeah. So what is higher than that? What's higher than the gifts?
Well, I don't know that we need to even apply levels to things, like a gift is something that's given to you from your creator, from God, from source. Like, even as I talk about God and creator and source, now I'm starting to be like, oh, now, God's not just the word God, or God's not just Yahweh. God is, known by so many names
Yeah.
that
Yes.
I feel like the creator is removing all of the lines that we have drawn that tell us where we need to be and function. We want to have answers for everything in our life specifically, but my experience is that the answer is in him and is different for every person at different times as well. And the way to find an answer for an issue that you have can be found by reading somebody's book, like Kylie's book, The New Now. You can find an answer about healing on your face, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is how it's going to happen for you, because my experience is that God deeply desires an intimate relationship with every single person uniquely, and that your answer is found in him who is in you.
That's right. And that's where we get the saying that all the answers are within you, because you are the temple. We are this beautiful place, this dwelling place of the cosmos. Like, everything is within him, the creator, or her, the creator, and that is all within us. So I think that that's part of the light as well, and part of this cosmic reality that we're engaging with, is that as soon as you stop, whoa, and you just feel the essence of the cosmos within you, everything, it's like your whole body is going, yes, yes, can we stay here? Can we stay here? Yay!
Now, we were supposed to do a course this morning online. There's a network of people that we're currently working with who have offered a course this morning to do with social media presence and how to grow your business within a social media space. And we were all set up ready to do that. And the time came where they hadn't sent us passwords and connections on how to get in there. And it's something we're looking forward to. It's something that we want to grow in and get better at, a space that we believe we can function within and travel the world and have all of our art and our books and our music just selling themselves online whilst we're cruising around the world. We're really looking forward to that course, and it didn't happen. So on an earthly level, you can be annoyed by that. be angry. You can choose a lot of different emotions around the fact that that course that you thought you were going to be doing that was going to be beneficial didn't happen. Or you can remember by flicking the switch of remembrance that you actually dwell in heaven at the same time as on earth, and that it's really a very small speck of a problem, and that all of the answers for the social media ideas that we are looking to find are not necessarily just found through other people who have found a pattern, but all of the answers, including how the algorithm works, how AI functions, how the world is going to look in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, are actually found within you, because heaven
Yeah.
is within you, your creator is within you. And so then all we have to do is actually flick the switch of remembering to step back inside ourselves and find the answers.
Yeah.
I think sometimes Earth is part of this earthly adventure is so that we interact with each other, because interaction is good for us. And I think that had we been able to do this course with other human beings, we would have interacted and it would have been good for every party involved. But it hasn't happened, and that's okay.
That's because we had some angels and some portals. Whoa, look at that. See that there? Going there, across there? The angels?
Yes, I can, but you're
Whoa.
pointing that out to me on an audio podcast
Oh
that
my
doesn't translate
goodness.
for the people who are listening.
I've just been sitting here watching these two angels just here, and then all of a sudden, when I said that, there it was like these ones on the left hand side that had been hiding behind your back, just shimmied across the water like
Went
that.
across the water
That
very
was
fast, yes.
wild.
So we're located in northern New South Wales, in Australia, seated above a river. It's a beautiful winter's day. There is wind around, but we're protected from it. And we're overlooking the river, and we love it here.
Yeah.
It's a slice of heaven on earth. It
Yeah, it
is
is.
what you choose to believe that it is. You can be geographically located in a town like where we are and be completely miserable.
I know it seems unfathomable that that could possibly be the case, but yes, it
We
certainly can be the
we
case.
get to choose. We have lived in places at times where we desperately wanted to leave and couldn't leave, usually for financial reasons. But we have, in those same places, realised that we actually live in all places at the same time.
Yeah, it's true.
So when you live in heavenly realms, no matter where your body's located, it shouldn't really matter where your body's located as to how it is that you feel.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like good old Paul in the Bible, Kylie, who was locked in jail and completely fine.
Yeah.
He was able to be bitten by a snake after he was shipwrecked and washed ashore, and he just threw it off, and everybody thought that he should die, because that's what happens when you live on earth. That's what happens when you're just a human being
Whoa.
with a body, and that's your only revelation. But when you realize that you actually have heaven within you and you function in all places at the one time, then a snake that only is in existence on earth should have no heavenly effect on you.
Exactly. Sorry, I'm so whacked. There's like four really big angels right in front of us. And I'm so whacked. I'm so glad you're talking. Whoa. I'm glad that course got cancelled. I love everything you're saying. Whoa, where'd those angels go? There's just one. Whoa, whoa.
So the experience that you're now having, where you're seeing angels and you're laughing and loving the feeling of what you're seeing, is it possible that if a person walked over here to where we are right now, that you would be able to snap out of that in an instant?
Yeah. Whoa, look at that. Ah. Yeah, I think so, because I feel like I've just developed an awareness of lots of different spaces that we're moving in and out of all the time. And sometimes you just feel like, I guess sometimes I probably feel like it's appropriate to be bubbling up a little bit more than other times where I probably would hold it inside a little bit more. And then there's other times, like what you were talking about before, when you were saying how annoying I can be, and the list of all those earthly realm things that are really frustrating about having to be with someone like
It's
me.
not that you're annoying. It's the fact that I allow some of the things that you do to annoy me that makes you annoying. But that doesn't actually mean that you're annoying. It's just that I've decided that you are.
And it's quite possible for me to just be in that place. You know, sometimes I just laugh at the fact that I'm annoying you. Or sometimes I can just get ticked off, you know. Sometimes I'm just frustrated about my annoyingness.
And sometimes, like if somebody was to walk over here now, you could snap back into the frequency that they're
Yeah.
functioning at and
Yeah.
match it. You
Yeah.
could become just like that person if they wanted to talk about the local rugby league team or something like
Yeah.
that. You could easily just talk about that having just been encountering angels.
Yes. And
But
I don't even
because-
think that's bad. It's not like you leave that place, do you think? Like, I don't feel like I leave that place.
I just think it's an awareness, and that's where I'm going with it, is because as soon as that person leaves, you can flick the switch of awareness and be right back there again anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not, walking out this period of refining in the room of judgment.
Yeah,
It's also important to remember that not everybody is seeing what you're seeing
exactly.
and functioning as you're functioning.
Yeah.
And that is completely fine.
Exactly. Because you know what? I actually think that that place where you realize the answers are within and that you are your own answer in a lot of ways, when you realize that you can just work on yourself. It's that place where you realize that you don't have to change everybody else. Like, we can only do something about our own self. And I think that when you have that awareness of other people, it's not just an awareness, but it's actually an honouring of where they've chosen to be, because
And
there's
sometimes it's also a place where you've been.
that's right. It's often a place that
And
you've been.
sometimes you're mixing in a circle of people with a belief structure that you adamantly used to defend yourself.
Exactly.
And now that you've moved into a different space,
Yeah.
you're able to see that your ideas are different.
Yeah.
But you also can be aware that where they are is perfectly fine for who they are and where they want to be.
Exactly. Because everything, wherever you're at, everything makes sense. It's like when we were in our 20s and we used to just smoke dope all the time, like marijuana
Hang on
dope.
a second, Kylie. I don't know that we need to share with the world that we were once dope smokers.
No, but for people in
My
America,
mum and dad might listen to
for
this
people in
podcast.
America, it wouldn't even matter because it's legal in a lot of states
That's
over
right.
there.
I forgot that we actually broadcast from our little microphones above the river in New South Wales, Australia, to the rest of the world. How could I forget that? There's people listening to this podcast in the US
Yep.
and all around the world.
Yep.
And those guys in the US, I don't know how many states it is now, but a lot of those places, they're allowed to actually smoke dope
Yes.
wherever they want.
Yeah.
You see Joe Rogan just token on reefers
Yeah.
on his podcast with various different guests
In Texas.
in Texas.
Yeah. Hi to all our listeners in Texas.
So it's not actually, yet again, it's because of where we're located. Our current reality physically is that you're not allowed to smoke marijuana in New South Wales, Australia, legally. So because of where we are, we can easily think that that's the way that it is everywhere, but it's not.
That's right. And back to where the conversation was going with that is that when that was our reality, everything made sense. And also the bandwagon of pot smoking made sense. Like, we had something that we could say, some kind of evidence, scientific evidence that would say how great it was, all its medicinal qualities, all of the good things about it. Because when you choose to make things a part of your life, there is actually a piece of you that validates that has some kind of a reason why you're doing that, why that's a part of your life, why it has viable space in your reality. And I think that as you embark on your own personal journey, and that is usually for a lot of people that are on this journey of awareness and awakening and expansion, is that we are wanting to go higher all the time. We're wanting to leave behind pieces that are not bringing our body into greater health, that are not bringing our mind into a greater renewal and expansion, that is bringing our spirit into this place of greater awareness and a heightened connection with all things. Because ultimately, it's knowing that we're living in this place of complete oneness, this beautiful space where we are light beings. And I think that when we're in those conversations and getting back to the awareness that you were talking about, switching it on and switching it off, there's an honouring in that place of where everybody is on their journey. And that whoa, woo! There's some seriously cool heavenly stuff happening on the water today. This is amazing. Yes, just feel the vibe on that, guys. I know that because we are in a multi-dimensional reality, that you can feel the vibe coming through the frequency that we're releasing in the tones and in the sounds of our voices as we are excited about what we're seeing in the realms of the angelic here today. So it's pretty cool.
And it doesn't matter where you are in the world listening to us and what time of day or night, it's the same time as it's supposed to be.
It is. I love that. This is a really wacky podcast. You should pass this on to anyone that needs a breath of fresh air in their life. Having said that, if you haven't followed our channel, if you don't follow, please follow whatever channel you're on, whatever listening device you're on, whatever streaming platform you're on. Please follow, like, comment, share. Share it with people that you love and share it with people that you don't like as well, because we don't mind who listens.
We don't mind who listens, that is true. We are producing this podcast in partnership with people who choose to partner with us and support us via Patreon is one of the places, isn't it? That's a way that we are able to continue to produce the podcast. But ultimately, we believe that the words that we are speaking and the language that we're releasing and the beings that we're interacting with and the heavenly realms that we're functioning in all at the same time are just supposed to be released right now, and that they're individually being released by us through our voice, and that is perfect. So it doesn't really, it's a really interesting place to be where it doesn't really even seem to matter whether the show is supported or not. It just somehow happens anyway.
Yeah, it does.
But for those of you people that are supporting and choose to support us and have supported us, we just thank you for partnering with us. We are eternally grateful that we get an opportunity to actually speak into our microphones so that people can listen in their earbuds all around the world. We are extremely grateful for this life that has been laid out for us and that we've also at the same time chosen to walk in.
Yeah. Yes. I just want to read a little excerpt from my book, The New Now. It's available on our website and it's also available on all book buying platforms. We are the light workers, the shining ones, as we come into this place of being. We are no longer trying to do something, but rather we are something. We are light, for He is light, and joy is our natural position.
Do you remember when I found out that I was a light worker?
Yes, I do.
In the middle of the night, God spoke to me and told me, Sean, you're a light worker, because I'd been questioning what it is that I did and what it is that I could tell the world that I did. And so that I wouldn't forget what God told me, because I was too lazy to get up and write it down like you're supposed to do in the middle of the night, I rolled over to you and murmured to you, Kylie, I know what it is that I am. I'm a light worker, hoping that you would remember at least, and in the morning you could remind me. And you woke up and said, I know.
I love it. I love
And
it.
you had already written it in your book.
I know. I think it's chapter 14. Chapter 14 in my book is called Light Workers. A little bit more of that chapter goes on to say our currency is intuitive wisdom and love. It comes from oneness. And from this place of oneness, we as light workers can rise, enabling us together to shield the world with the manifestation of our united light and love. It all comes from oneness. Oneness with Him, Yahweh, the divine, and oneness with one another. That beautiful place of oneness. It's quite an experience coming to the end of yourself. I feel like just coming to the end of my own reasoning, coming to the end of the answers that I think that I have, coming to the end of needing to be right, coming to the end of just anything making sense even. Like why? Why does it even have to make sense?
I think we believe that things need to make sense in our minds so that they have somewhere to rest, so that there's an understanding that you have of how things function. And I think for us culturally as well in this part of the world, that we've been raised to believe that there's just good and bad, right and wrong, good and evil, black and white. There's this distinction between things, and it can only be one way or the other. It can only be true or not true. But I think that the realms that we are learning to function in have many truths within them. When you choose to be aware of heaven that's inside of you and you step in and look around, you realize that things are not just as rigid as they have been taught to you to be.
It's true. And we do a deep dive on that. Last year we did a podcast called Black and White, and it talks
I don't
about...
know that we do deep dives on anything, Kylie. I feel like we just jump in the water and skim across the top in these podcasts. How can you possibly do a deep dive in like about an hour once a week?
An hour
like
once a
our
week.
entire life is like a little bit more depth, but we're really only producing a podcast as a touch and a sharing of part of our existence with the people that choose to listen. It's not like, wow, like those guys just told me so much in that time, that is the entirety of everything. We're really just trying to encourage the world to realize that you also have access to heaven within you, and that you can explore those places beyond places we've been as well.
It's true. So really what I should be saying is last year we skimmed a beautiful stone, a stone of eternity across the waters of black and white, where we just tapped in a little tiny little piece into the discussion about what it means when we are constantly bringing a line of separation into everything, saying it is this or this, or this or this. It's only, like you say, right or wrong, black or white, good or evil, bad or good.
It reminds me of that other time that God told me about how everything is not just black and white, Sean, but there's many shades of greys and colours too.
It's true. And I think, you probably are much more of a black and white person than I am. I have much more of a flowery, kind of contemplative, creative brain. And although you are definitely an artist and a creative, you've always had much more of a black and white view on things. It's like, well, that has to make sense. Like, if it's not that, it must be this. And things needed to logically make sense to your brain. But I think you're defying that now. You're actually experiencing in your journey with your creator, diving into those grey places, experiencing bits and pieces of colour
And I think part of that is also in the realization that there was two trees in the garden.
Yes. Yeah, come on. Which we do also have a podcast on, two trees in the garden. Which tree are you eating from?
So there's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that has a fruit that, should you choose to eat it, actually exposes you to the reality of good and evil within the same fruit. You can do many, many good things and expect many, many good results. You can do bad things and expect bad results, but it's the same fruit.
Yeah.
Or you can choose to live from the tree of life that doesn't have black or white, that isn't right or wrong,
Yes. Yeah,
that
exactly.
there is only one way. But the tree of life encompasses all, and the tree of life is growing from earth, into heaven. It's like the Day of the Triffids. I vaguely recall reading that book when I was young, and I don't know if it was actually that book or whether it's like a Jack and the Beanstalk type picture of the tree that grew so big and so rapidly that it grew up into heaven. The tree of life has its roots on earth, but the top of it is in heaven, and you can function solely from that tree. And in that tree, there's no good and evil. There's no black and white.
Yeah.
Its fruit is life, life in abundance.
Yeah, I love it.
I have come so that you may have life and life in abundance, Kylie.
Life and life in abundance. Exactly.
Not for death and destruction,
No.
not so that you abide by the law, because when you live out of the tree of life, the law doesn't exist.
Exactly. Not for toil, not for works, not for striving, not for hustle, but for life.
You don't even see that tree of judgment, that tree of judgment that I have been learning recently to stop nibbling on the fruit of.
Because, like as you say, the tree of good and evil doesn't just have the bad stuff on it. It's not just an evil tree, it's a tree of good and evil.
That's right. So if you consume that fruit, and that's the only fruit that you consume in your life, you are also consuming good and bad at the same time. And you can actually, as a fruit of living off that tree, perform good acts all your life
That's right.
and expect good results.
Yeah. And often get them, because it's also a place that is rooted in the law. It's a place of principles, and we know principles work. We know if you keep the law that you will have fruit in your life, but it's not the tree of eternal life. It's not the tree of abundant life.
It's the tree of the law.
Yeah.
We know
And
where the law takes you.
And we know that there are lots of different perspectives on Yeshua, on Jesus, what he did, our understanding of what that means, and all of those different things. It seems like every week there's somebody unpacking another version or another translation on the texts that have been written through the ages. But if he came to fulfill the law so that then we would be free from the law, why would we impose the law upon ourselves and one another again? To bring more separation, because there is only separation off that tree. And if we want to come into the place of oneness and love, eternal life, into that place of bliss and peace and goodness, then
joy
and joy and love, exactly.
Patience.
All of those things that you just are, those things are actually all within us.
Now,
And
a few days ago, Kylie, you taught me a very valuable lesson.
no way. It must have been a secret one because I am not aware of this.
No, I've spoken to you about it. You just want me to repeat it so that everybody gets to hear it and you get to gloat in it. But
That's being a meanie.
I am okay with sharing it because I learn a lot from you. I learn way more from you than probably I'd tell you. And I believe also that's a part of the reason why God chose you to be my life partner. And I was telling you how I was actually at a church gathering on the weekend as a part of my refining, non-judgment experience, because I've realized that over time that I've actually decided, after I've stopped attending various churches, that I have formed a judgment about them and where they're at and what kind of people they are and what they believe, and therefore. I don't know if everybody does that, but that's what I found myself doing.
Yeah.
And then I got to a place where every time I thought of the people that I used to go to church with, I was putting them in a box that they don't necessarily deserve to be in, that they don't necessarily even function in. I'm making a judgment decision on where they are at and what they believe and what they know and their capacity and all of those things, and it's not right for me to do that.
Yeah.
So I went to this gathering to be refined in that place of loving everybody where they're at. I'm finding it a really interesting, healthy journey to be on, and I'm hoping that it doesn't last forever, and I'm sure that it won't. I feel like sometimes I just need to be brought to an awareness of these things, and then it's done. In that church, there was a discussion where somebody spoke about the fact that they had prayed to God and asked for patience. And straight out of my mouth, without even stopping, came, "Oh, don't ever do that. Don't ever pray and ask for patience," because my experience is that if you pray and ask for patience, that God will put a circumstance or a person in your life that requires you to develop patience to be around. And I told you that. And it's true.
It is true. Yeah.
But there's also another truth. And why don't you share with the people that are listening today what the other truth is that you brought me into awareness of, that I actually now agree with as well?
I'd like to hear your perspective on that.
Okay, so my understanding is that when I told you that, you paused, and I know when you pause and you're scared to say what you want to say because you think I'm going to jump all over you. But then you politely told me that when we know who we are as sons and daughters of our Creator, and we're functioning on this earth as sons and daughters, and we know our identity in that way, there's nothing that we have to earn to get. We don't have to earn our way into this gift of patience. It's been freely given to us, and we only need to accept that reality.
Yeah, it's so true.
And so there's no more toiling to get those things that we see as good things to have attached to us. Sometimes, maybe even all of the time, I was just going to say sometimes we just need to flick the switch of awareness of our identity and it's all done. And maybe that is actually the truth, but we find it difficult to do that.
Yeah. I just think that it's so hard to let go of the understanding that we have to do something to receive all the things that we desire. That it's just so difficult to realize that they already are. And it makes sense that we would go on, like most of it for me has been a process. Like it's been a choice where I've decided to let go of certain understandings, ways of thinking, patterns of understanding, all of those different things that make up your worldview, the way that you see things, the way that why you believe what you believe, and just come into the revelation of what already is, which is what you're saying about the tree of life. It's coming into the remembrance of who I've always been, and then allowing that person to rise. So the experience for me is that there has been locked in the cells of my body different traumas and things that have happened over my life that I haven't known what to do with, I haven't known how to deal with. So my body has held those experiences and those emotions and that trauma within itself. So as I have been going on my journey of transformation, my journey of transfiguration, my journey of into the higher realms of consciousness and understanding what has always been from the beginning of time, then I keep coming up against these different feelings that arise within me that don't line up with the person or the reality that I know should be mine. And so it's just this process for me has just been to just continue to let go through all kinds of different experiences, whether it be meditation, whether it be breath work, whether it be prayer, whether it be like depending upon where my paradigm of understanding is at the time over the course of the last 40 years, that has been a process of wherever I am. God's working with my understanding at the time to bring me into the place where I go, oh my goodness, I am like my Father. I am made in his image. I am, because he dwells within me. And then all of those things, you just begin to be able to be those things.
So my period of time that I'm currently walking out, being refined into a state of non-judgment on all people, is actually quite likely something that I can flick a switch on and just have happen in a moment. But for some reason, sometimes we like to feel as if we're doing something to get something. So I am going to places to be refined so that I work towards a result, so that I feel good that I worked at getting something, when indeed it has actually all been given to me as a free gift, ready to accept any time I like.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's unusual.
It's like people that travel up and down the coast of Australia looking for a new place to live. And I'm saying this because I met somebody the other day who told me this. And in the midst of their discussion telling me this, they threw into the mix that they were being evangelistic in their travels. It's like, I want you to know that I am doing something for the Lord in the way of work as I'm going about my life of freedom. We like to chuck in there that for some reason we're working towards something, or we're working for God, we're representing him, and that is a righteous work to be doing, so that it sounds like we're actually doing something and we have value and purpose.
That's right.
But our value and purpose and our doing is already done.
Because we have this thing that tells us we need to justify our time. It needs to be spent in some kind of a worthy manner. And even, for workaholics, like for a really long time, I just couldn't sit down and read a book or just sit and like watch TV without having to be doing something else at the same time, or even letting anybody see me doing any of those things, because I would be feeling like I was doing something that didn't have a purpose, that I wasn't being busy enough, that there wasn't any time to be wasting on idle things, that I needed to always be filling every moment of my day with something constructive and something fruitful and something that was working towards something. And I think that's the difficult part about coming into the fullness of who you are within your creator, the innie that we were talking about earlier, being all in, is that being all in is allowing yourself to experience the pleasure of God. And this is a piece of God that is a part of the tree of life, because you can't experience the pleasure on the tree of good and evil, because it's always like you're needing to be rewarded for your goodness and you're punished for your badness. But on the tree of life, it's just pleasures forevermore.
The tree of the knowledge of good and evil is like sugar.
Yeah.
You consume it expecting a certain feeling, which you do get, but only lasts for a little while, and then you crash down further than you were and you need more of it.
But you don't have that with the tree of life.
You don't need to consume sugar at all when you're living from the tree of life, and the tree of life doesn't have ups and downs, it's a constant.
I love this verse, Psalm 34:8 in the trash and pan.
The trash and what?
The trash and translation.
In the trash and translation.
Yes. It says, drink deeply of the pleasures of this God. Experience for yourself the joyous mercies he gives to all who turn to hide themselves in him. If you're an innie, then you're experiencing deep pleasure. You're experiencing joyous mercies. You're experiencing bliss and blissful delight.
I was just thinking about what you were saying about smoking marijuana before, and it takes me back to a time of pursuing feelings through various drugs and alcohol that we've lived a period of our life doing. And in those pursuits, when you get the marijuana or the bourbon or the beer or whatever it is that you're consuming to take you into a place of heightened feeling, when you stop using those things, you fall into a place below neutral as well. It's like this heightened awareness, this heightened reality, this heightened feeling that you have when you're using those things. But when you stop using those things, you fall down below where you began the journey. And I think that in a life lived in that experience, in those pursuits, when you stop using those things that take you up to the high of highs and then dump you to the low of lows, when you remove all of those things from your use in your body, that it takes a long time to realize that living in a place of constant awareness, of consciousness, of Christ, it takes a long time to be okay with that. It's a strange thing. It's like
Yeah.
you still sometimes crave a higher high, but you know that the higher high is available to you without consuming those things that then dump you back down. Because when you live in a state of heightened Christ consciousness at all times, you never fall into those pits after you stop using.
Yeah. Because the highest of highs is within you. It is this place of drunken pleasure. It is token on the highest of highs.
There's no more ups and downs. It's just always up.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's only like you were talking about before, sometimes pulling yourself through awareness into a place that makes you just be able to function, in conversation with different people and just to do things in shops and stuff like that. If you have to go places and fill up your car with petrol or something, just when you're pulling yourself back into reality or letting yourself just move in and out of the different dimensions, you're always staying within yourself. Like, I like to think of my cells as constantly just resonating in that place of higher awareness, in that place, because that's where they can remember that they're healing themselves, that they're breathing. It's like my cells have breath, and the breath looks like light, and it is awakening me continually to the reality of my limitlessness. It's crazy. It's crazy. This week, babe, I put together a beautiful collection of art and quotes from my book, because we have a beautiful tribe of gorgeous creative people that we're a part of called Creative Space in Wales, which is part of the Company of Burning Hearts with Justin and Rachel Abraham. And a whole bunch of our stuff from the different people on Creative Space got featured at Joy Fest in America, which was really awesome. And some of the quotes from my book were at the Joy Fest, which was really exciting. And so those are available in poster form on our Wildfire Tribe website.
Oh, how cool is that? So, in poster form, what do you mean? Like, is that a what size?
So basically like an A3 size and an A1 size. So like a big poster and a smaller poster.
So it's a quote from your book with a picture, or is it just words?
So I've done some artwork, and on top of the artwork, I've printed the words from the quotes from the book. Yeah. So one of those quotes, which was one of the ones that was on the frequency wall at Joyfest in the US, says, "Light is the energetic life force of love. It's the light that runs through us that causes us to operate at a higher frequency. We can engage with the truth of who we really are. We are sons of light, sons of love. We can engage with light technology, his light DNA, for he has given us another whole level of living, tapping into the light technologies of union with the divine nature of God. We have so much to be joyful about. We are in union with the divine nature of God.
Well, that's beautiful, Kylie. So that's available in poster form that you can purchase off the website. What's the website?
Wildfiretribe.life.
Wildfiretribe.life. You can go there and purchase any one of those posters and have them delivered right to your door, and you can hang them up in your house and be reminded that you're a light being at all times,
Yeah.
or any other one of those posters. And we thank you that you would choose to go to that website and purchase such things as that, because that also helps us to continue our function on earth as light workers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it has been such a pleasure to be coming up high with you today. Love these realms of infinite wonder, no separation.
Yes, well, I'm not surprised that you say that, Kylie. You're infinitely fortunate to get to do life alongside me.
And that is so true. It is very true.
And it's the same for me. And it's the same for you as you've chosen to join us today. We're very grateful that you've chosen to do a slice of life with us. And we look forward to having you join us again next time we're on the Reimagine podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. Have a blissfully wonderful higher dimensional reality week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.